Hi, fellow traders. Welcome to a new week. We're still in that lull, waiting on earnings season to kick off. There's that month right before earnings season where we don't have a lot of earnings being reported. Earnings is my favorite catalyst, whether it's pre-market, intraday, aftermarket. Earnings are my favorite catalyst to trade. And really, a lot of guys that do trade earnings exclusively, they take a month off. The month before the unofficial start to earnings season, they typically take the month off, or they, really reduce their exposure in the market. But right now we're just trading these biotechs that are reporting on their clinical results, whether it be good or bad. They may be reporting FDA approval or an extension on their application. The application was denied. All of this stuff. We're looking at merging these two companies. Whatever the case is, these are the catalysts that we're trying to trade. They're more difficult. They're more unreliable. But what it does is it gives us an opportunity to get some much needed screen time and to develop much needed discipline and patience. So that's what we're doing now. We're grinding it out. And if you're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, if you're managing your risk, if you're executing your trades without question, that you're thinking and then taking the trade versus getting in a trade and then start thinking, you're going to be fine. And you're going to gain some much needed experience during this time. So before I get into my day, I want to share this with you. If it's still in your mind, it is worth the risk. Now, if you guys are still thinking about getting into trading, I'm telling you, it is well worth the risk. It is not something that you want to keep putting on the back burner and then one day say, oh, I wish I had started. The opportunity is there. And if you're thinking about it, it is worth taking a risk. I'm telling you, for me, it was well worth the risk. And I don't think anybody else, or not too many people in this world, risked more than I did to get started doing this. Now, I was in a bad place. I was in a bad spot. Now, I wasn't living from paycheck to paycheck. I was floating paychecks to paychecks. And that's not a good feeling. Getting into that so that you could take care of your family and give them the things that they need, not a good feeling. So I don't think anybody else or not many people would have taken a bigger risk than me. But you have to choose, because you'll notice that anything worthwhile in this world requires taking a risk. And it doesn't always have to be associated with danger. It doesn't. Taking a risk means just putting yourself out there. You may be risking getting hurt. You may be risking getting your feelings hurt or being embarrassed. Hell, I put myself out there every day in front of you guys. And I'm taking that incredible risk. And I guess it bothered me at first. It kind of unsettled me at first, but I got used to it. And now it doesn't really bother me. But I take this risk every day. It's in my mind to be a model to everybody, to share with everybody what I did and what I do and what it takes to be successful. Now, it doesn't matter whether you agree with me or not. It doesn't matter whether you believe in the strategies that I trade or the way I do my stops, or none of that stuff matters. It's just a template. This is a template of somebody who is successful, who proves it every day, who takes losses, but shows you how to overcome those and eventually make money. You know, that's what is in my mind, and that's why I do what I do every day. You know, so whether somebody doesn't like what I do or they don't believe in what I do, doesn't matter to me. That's not going to stop the flow of money from the market going into my account. It's not going to stop it. And it's not going to stop me. And you guys have to have that same attitude, that same mindset. It doesn't matter what anybody else believes. It doesn't matter what anybody else tells you, whether they like it or not. It doesn't matter. Okay? If you feel it, if you want it, it's worth taking that risk. And believe me, you're not going to regret it. Especially if you go in 110% like you need to. All right, so let's take a look at my week here. My day. I'm glad it's not the end of the week. I don't want to end the week red. But today, I had a little issue today after the first trade didn't work. I kind of took this the wrong way, and it affected my trading going forward. So this was a textbook opening range breakdown. We already talked about pre-market. We had identified the daily 200 that this stock could sell back off to it. It looked like a really solid support that this thing could, get sucked into. We had the intraday 200 right here, which would have been a great first target. Everything. This level, I ignored. It was so close to the opening range low. We had such good volatility. These I typically ignore. And I'll come back later in the day and pick this up, because usually the volatility in the first 15 minutes blows through these levels like they weren't there. But in this case, it didn't. Somebody came in buying off of this. They came in hard and heavy buying off of this. So at first I thought, okay, it's just profit taking. Somebody shorted up here. This is where they were looking to take profit at this support. And then it just felt like somebody was buying this. They either got long up here and they were trying to get out break even, which it actually looks like that was the case. But like I said, we don't know. Unless we're there sitting next to the people that started the buying, we have no idea what their motive was. All I can do is kind of look at the chart and hypothesize as to what I thought was happening. And when it was going up, that's one of the scenarios I shared with you guys, that, hey, somebody might have bought this up here thinking that it was going to bounce, and they got caught, and they're creating some buying so that they can get out. And they can get out at break even. All down here, if they're buying, they're bettering their position. And by now, they were at break even. And then here, all of the buying just went away. All of that buying just left it. And now the sellers were coming in. So in theory, according to the technicals and the chart, initially, this trade did exactly what I wanted it to do. I had to stop out here because that's the rule. That's my rule. I had to stop out. We claimed, now I know this candle ran up like this, but we claimed the 9. Now here, this thing did the same thing. We ran up, but then this candle did not make a new high relative to this candle to trigger my stop, my technical stop. It didn't trigger it. It sold back off. And so I kind of was looking for this stock to potentially, this candle to potentially do the same. That it ran up and then reject, and here we start selling back off. But we didn't. You know, this candle closed up here above the opening range low. And before I could actually get the order in, because it ripped pretty quick, it opened and it started to sell, and then it just started running up. It hit my line in the sand. So, no, I think I should have only lost about $175 on it. But this is why I have that hard stop, that line in the sand, to protect me in case this gets away. And this honestly got away. It really took off and took me out. And it traded around in this range pretty much the whole time, but it was there to protect me, and it worked. But the trade agitated me because I got mad that it got hung up here and it didn't come back. And we can't do that. We can't get mad if one trade loses. We can't, because we got the whole trading day. The whole trading day. But this kind of got into my head, and it made me mess this trade up. This was a reversal, an attempted reversal. It hit my reversal scan. It was on both the extreme reversal and the standard reversal scan. And I think it hit initially right up in here, but it never triggered. Here, we triggered an entry, and I got in, and my stop was back over the high. If we claim 44, and then my line in the sand was a few ticks above this candle here. And we got bought up a little bit, but then we rejected. We put in a lower high. Here we were putting in a nice low here, but we didn't quite make it down to this level. And so that kind of concerned me a little bit. And then my rule is, if a stock starts to work and we turn around and we break the 9 and we hold above the 9, then we're going to stop out. But the demographic, or I guess I can say the demographic of this setup changed, because we were putting in a downtrend here. It was working on a downtrend, a lower high, and here we actually put in a lower high, but there was no reason to take it off here, even though it broke my the 9 and it triggered my stop. I had a higher power here, and this is not something that I guess a new trader would pay attention to. Over a period of time, you would pick it up and you would start to be able to just see the trend. And I wasn't paying attention to it because my patience was a little bit thin after that first trade. And then I'm looking at Roku, which we know has big move potential for later day trades. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, I can make $500-600 on Roku. Why am I sitting here waiting on this? And all it took was this to stop me. I was just waiting for this. This is all I was waiting for to trigger me to stop out. And I did. I stopped out and ran and jumped in Roku. And jumped in and then turned around and got stopped out of Roku. Okay, so at that point, I had 3 losers in a row. 3 losers in a row. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. You know, and I realized what I did wrong. I understood at lunch what my issue was. I kind of meditated a little bit, got my head straight, and was looking at this Roku again, and I knew this thing has the potential to make huge moves into the afternoon and on low volume. It doesn't take a lot of volume to make this thing move. The trading is not too jumpy, it's not too sporadic. We can deal with the little pullbacks it has. Everything was good about this. So I felt that we had at least 1 point, maybe 2. So I got in this here. We did get the little pullback. Here's the close below the 20, but this did not confirm a loss of the 20. It didn't confirm it. This candle would have had to make a lower low relative to this candle to trigger me to stop out. It didn't. It started pushing itself back up, made that nice run, hit target 1. Hit target 2 was at 104, but we didn't quite get it here. Here we started running into that same crap. So I grabbed it before we got to 104, which was the right thing to do. And then it started selling off, ended up stopping out right under the 20 here. But this is where I had my profit stop. And so thought we were going to get a sell-off going into the close after this attempted bounce here. And it just didn't materialize. You know, only got a couple bucks back. But I was looking for this to sell down through the 50 and start making that big run back down toward VWAP, but we just didn't get it. So really pleased with the way I ended the day on Roku. I exercised my patience. I was myself in this trade. I wasn't myself earlier in the day, losing my patience and just taking that first trade personal. That's just not me. So got my head back screwed on straight, and we only ended the day minus 134.13. So I'm ready to go. I'm revved up and ready to go here. So we'll look to continue to trade the way I need to trade for the rest of the week. Close out this week. We got a couple days next week before earnings kicks off, and I want to be ready Thursday morning. I want to be strong because it's going to take that. So you guys have a great night, a great evening, and we'll get back at this thing tomorrow, and we'll see what we can do.